Hey. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Triple R Ryan's Real Reactions, and today we are watching the highly anticipated part 2 of the Dr. Shannon Curry cross-examination. Let's get it. If you didn't see the part 1, it is on my channel. It'll be linked in the playlist below. We are finishing this video. We watched 37 minutes before, and now the following 37 minutes now. Forensic psychologist Dr. Shannon Curry cross-examined Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, a.k.a. Shannon versus Elaine. Let's go.
All right, now let's jump to Amy Banks. Dr. Banks is a psychiatrist, correct?
Yes.
And in fact,
That is correct.
she went to medical school at Georgetown, and she did her psychiatric training at Harvard Medical School.
Also, if the volume's a little wonky, I have it all turned up, and I put a gain on. Nothing else I can do.
Correct?
I believe that's correct. I don't recall 100%.
All right, and she was a psychiatrist in Massachusetts that Amber Heard had reached out to
Yes.
after the Australia incident to try to help her relationship with Mr. Depp, correct? Let me back up. You attended Dr. Banks' deposition as well, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And Dr. Banks testified to that, correct?
I don't remember if she testified to that.
Also,
I
I'm
don't-
hoping that Elaine has finally moved on from Shannon having dinner with Johnny Depp, because she brought that up about 9 times. And we'll see if that continues. As we know with Elaine here, when she harps on something, she cannot get it out of her brain. Okay, she just has to keep going.
I don't have the notes right in front of me or the deposition transcript.
All right. Do you recall Dr. Banks testifying that she understood that Amber was in a relationship with Johnny Depp that had gotten violent and out of control?
I don't recall specifically, no.
Do you recall Amy Banks testifying that they had physical altercations and his drug use had escalated and Amber felt she was at risk?
I don't recall.
Do you
Also, shout
recall
out to the Law and Crime YouTube channel for uploading this.
Amy Banks testifying that Amber was reporting the violence by Mr. Depp and it was not consensual?
I recall Dr. Banks stating that Ms. Heard was reporting violence to her, yes. I do not recall a statement about consent.
Do you recall Dr. Banks testifying that there was discussion about Mr. Depp cutting off his finger, and she said only that it was a middle of one of these very kind of out of control escalated fights, and that did make a fairly big impact on me?
I remember something like that.
Finally, not saying recall.
And do you recall Dr. Banks saying it was a whole other level? As I remember, it told to me he actually cut off a part of his finger during one of these altercations, meaning to me, the way I digested that, if you will, was that things had gotten particularly out of control.
I do not recall that exact statement. I'm not saying it didn't occur. I just can't recall
I still have not jumped in on the Johnny finger lore. That sounds a little weird. The Johnny losing his finger lore. I guess that's, I'll get there. This is like a 100-part series I'm doing, basically, so don't you worry. I know a lot of you guys are like, Ryan, you got to watch this. You got to watch this before this and this. I promise you, I'm going to watch everything eventually. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to watch everything. I'm going to get it. Even if some things may be backwards, it's all good. It's still going to be entertaining,
All right. And you recall that Mr. Depp was in sessions with Ms. Heard with Dr. Banks, correct?
Yes. My understanding, however, is that they met
always like
with
to,
Dr. Banks, and then it was primarily Ms. Heard meeting with Dr. Banks for treatment after prescriptions. And
I always like to imagine like Johnny and his lawyer here are just playing like a very long game of like hangman or tic-tac-toe.
therapy.
All right. And do you recall Dr. Banks saying that she was not surprised that Amber was seeking a restraining order because of the violence that she knew existed in the relationship?
I do recall that, and it would be impossible to know that violence exists as a treating therapist or as a psychologist. Again, we're not investigators. However, I do recall that she said that because I remember having that thought.
And do you recall Amy, and she's a psychiatrist, right?
Psychiatrist.
Okay. And do you recall Amy Banks saying that it was clear to her that Mr. Depp was the one who initiated the violence?
I don't recall that.
Elaine's not going to be happy with that.
Do you
How do you not remember that?
recall that Dr. Banks said that she knew for certain that Mr. Depp was the one who had committed the violence because Ms. Heard reported it in the presence of Mr. Depp and he did not contradict?
I do not recall that.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like when Elaine speaks, I don't even know what she's saying. Do you recall that Miss Heard, Johnny Depp, who misheard say that he was in violence with Amber and he did it? Elaine, I don't know. What are you saying, Elaine?
And do you recall that Dr. Banks ultimately concluded that it was her belief that Amber was a victim of domestic violence at the hands of Mr. Depp?
There we go.
There.
And I was about to say, where's the guy at? That guy right there, he's a stand-up guy. Huh? You didn't get it? Get it? Time to go talk to the judge. And I call it the time that, you get to see everyone start laughing and they, they were all holding in their stuff in the crowd there. Also, that is just very bright. Is that platinum blonde? That's got to be dyed hair right there. Because every time I look at that, it looks like a wig. Shannon looking as good as ever, though. Not phased at all, but also because Elaine hasn't asked a hard question yet. I think Elaine, as always, maybe thinks she's doing better than she is. Here comes the slow pan out that we all know and love here. The slow zoom out. Let's get it. And there we go. The judges and the lawyers have settled that, and back in with the slow pan.
And what was your answer to that last one? I'm sorry.
I think I can't recall, but I also can't recall that last question.
Do you recall
I can't recall recalling the last recall.
that Dr. Banks concluded that Amber was a victim of domestic violence at the hands of Mr. Depp?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Now, you also reviewed the records of Laurel Anderson and you reviewed her deposition. Is that correct?
Let me refresh my memory for a moment. I reviewed Dr. Anderson's deposition, yes.
Okay. And do you recall that she reported that Amber Heard had reported physical violence by Mr. Depp to her?
I recall that she said that Ms. Heard had reported that, yes.
Okay. And do you recall that she said that it changed over time?
I don't recall that specifically.
Do you know that your car you're driving, the Hyundai Sonata, has a recall on it? I do not recall the recall.
Okay. And do you recall Dr. Anderson saying that she had witnessed her face being bruised after the December 15, 2015 incident?
I don't recall that.
You don't recall that, okay. And do you recall that Dr. Anderson said that Amber had reported that he had pulled out her hair, bruised her face, kicked her leg, and hit her in the head?
Yes, Ms. Heard did report that to her according to her testimony.
Okay. And do you recall...
The title of this video could quite literally be, Do You Recall? Now, I won't make it that because nobody will click it. But to sum this video up in 3 words so far, do you recall?
That Amber Heard said that Mr. Depp was scaring her.
I don't recall that specifically.
Okay. And do you recall that Dr. Anderson said she believed that Amber Heard was a victim of domestic abuse at the hands of Mr. Depp?
I recall, no, I don't recall that statement.
All right, let's go to Bonnie Jacobs.
Here we go. They need to get Elaine like a lav mic where she could just kind of walk around, or like a, like an MC mic. MC Elaine.
You reviewed the notes from Bonnie Jacobs, correct?
Yo, I know my voice is in pain, but that's just cause my name's Elaine. And she just walks around and starts doing a concert. She always sounds like her voice is about to give out.
And what you testified to was that you discounted these because the first notes from Bonnie Jacobs indicated that she already had all of these symptoms, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. I discounted.
Tell me why you discounted Bonnie Jacobs' notes.
I did not discount Bonnie Jacobs' notes.
You said that Bonnie Jacobs, in her notes, had
Who's Bonnie
already
Jacobs?
determined that these symptoms were present for Amber Heard before the relationship with Mr. Depp, did you not?
What I recall saying was that within Dr. Jacobs' notes, she's documented instances in which Ms. Heard reported to her over the course of therapy that she was experiencing nightmares, recurrent nightmares, in fact, about childhood abuse.
Okay. Now, the very first entry on Bonnie Jacobs' notes, and these are the notes, right? Do you recognize these?
I do, and we
Okay.
received more sort of at the tail end just a couple months ago.
All right, so the first of Bonnie Jacobs' notes is on 10/17/2011. Do you recall that?
I don't recall the exact date. I don't have anything in front of me.
And Amber Heard was already in the relationship with Johnny Depp at this point, was she not?
I believe she was, yes.
Okay. And in Bonnie Jacobs' notes, she documents.
However, go ahead.
She documents multiple occasions that Amber Heard reports to her physical violence upon her by Mr. Depp, does she not?
There are several notes that indicate that Ms. Heard has reported.
See, now this is the thing with Elaine. We're going to get like 10 minutes of this. Where is it going to go? It's going to go nowhere. Okay? It's going to go into a river and into an ocean. That's what I've noticed with Elaine. She it feels like, oh man, maybe she's cooking up something. But like, no, she's just frying the same piece of bologna over and over again until it burns out and you don't have nothing left. So, I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'll give her a chance here.
Violence by Mr. Depp, yes.
Many, correct?
Many.
I wouldn't qualify it as many.
Many.
I'm not sure what you mean by many.
How many would you say?
I don't know. I don't have the notes in front of me.
Okay, well, what do you recall in deciding to make your opinions in this case?
Well, I'm confused about the dates because I know that Dr. Jacobs treated Ms. Heard even while she was in her prior relationship, leaving her prior relationship with her last wife.
Dr. Curry, I'm not going to ask you to try to bring in extraneous things. I'm asking you what you recall of these
But
notes.
the dates would have been different based on that alone.
Okay.
And I recall that there was quite a bit of information because these were copious notes spanning back in time from.
Must have been a cold day here when this was taking place. Very big jacket in the background. This lady looks freezing. Jacket, scarf, button up. Maybe a cold winter day.
Her relationship with Tasha.
So Dr. Curry, please answer my question. How
She's
many
trying.
occasions do you recall
Many.
I don't know.
Dr. Jacobs documenting Amber reporting physical abuse?
I don't know.
I love it because she says, I don't know, but then Elaine has to finish the question. Like that's going to get her to say, now that you've finished the question like that, I can now give you an exact answer. I believe the answer is going to remain, I don't know. Good job, Elaine. Let's see what else she's got. She's back. Come on.
Now,
Dig through.
you also said that you listened to audio tapes in this case, correct?
Yes.
Did you hear Mr. Depp admitting to headbutting Ms. Heard?
Oh, my Lord.
That is not what I heard.
You didn't hear that?
I heard a conversation
Johnny's
about
shaking his
headbutting.
head.
I did not hear him, as you said, admit to headbutting Ms. Heard.
Zooming in on Johnny, which means maybe we'll hear some Johnny audio.
That's your characterization of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, has anyone made this joke? If not, I would like to be the first to make it. They could have called Johnny's deposition Johnny's deposition. Wouldn't that have been something? Huh?
Did you see the videotape of Mr. Depp in the kitchen?
Yes.
Okay. Did Ms. Heard imagine that or create that, or was she responsible for that somehow?
Uh-oh. Objection.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. What, if any, impact did that have on your opinions
Stand-up
watching
guy.
Mr. Depp in that video?
I'm not sure it was one of many pieces of the exhibits and other collateral data that I considered. I'm not sure what the direct impact was or if that could be measured.
All right. Now, counsel asked you whether you had conducted any type of examination on Mr. Depp, and I believe your answer was no, correct?
No.
You did not review any medical records or psychological records from Mr. Depp either, did you?
I reviewed all of the records that were available.
Do you recall reviewing medical and psychological records on Mr. Depp?
Yes.
Do you recall Dr. Blaustein referring to Mr. Depp having rage?
No, I actually recall him referring to Miss Heard in that note.
Look, so far from what I've seen, the person with anger issues is Amber, right? Like, it's clearly Amber. Now, could Johnny Depp get upset? Can he get things moving? Can he have a little bit of anger sometimes? Sure, right? But I'm telling you, it seems like it's Amber Heard is the one doing it.
Your testimony is that Dr. Blaustein was referring to Amber Heard as having rage?
I transcribed several of the notes, and I may be missing a time when I said that about Mr. Depp. The handwriting was very difficult to transcribe, but there was one instance in which I recall transcribing him stating that Mr. Depp reported that Ms. Heard had rage.
Dr. Blaustein's deposition was taken, was it not?
I don't recall.
Do you recall, so I take it then you don't recall him testifying that Mr. Depp told him he had rage and demons?
I don't recall.
Jesus. Rage and Demons sounds like a cool, like, rock band name. Hello, my name is Johnny Depp. We all rage and demons.
Recall Dr. Blaustein testifying that Mr. Depp looked at his wife, Amber, like his mother or his sister that he didn't like?
I haven't seen his deposition. I don't recall that.
Okay. Now, did you see and do you know whether Mr. Depp has ever been diagnosed with any personality disorders?
That's not relevant to my task to conduct an evaluation of Ms. Heard. So
You could tell Elaine was probably like, yeah, probably should have thought of that one. Why would that matter in any way, shape, or form if it was conducted on Amber and not Johnny?
I do not know that he has had one. It was not in the records that he did.
All right. So one way or the other, you don't know whether Mr. Depp suffers from any personality disorders.
That's not my task.
Okay. Let me go to...
You could tell Shannon is like, she's like about to just give it a direct answer, and then she realizes, why am I even wasting my time answering a question here? Shut up, Elaine. Like, that's really what she's saying. That's not what I was paid to do. That wasn't my job, okay? Her job was to figure out what's going on with Amber. Why would she then do the same for Johnny if it's not a party? Like, what's the point?
IPV.
When you had dinner with Johnny, was he mean? Did he throw pizza at you? Was he aggressive when opening the can of Pepsi, and was it caffeine-free?
Perpetrators, would you agree that accusations of infidelity can be considered one of the characteristics of a personality perpetrator of IPV?
Oh, here comes IPV again.
It can be a characteristic of a lot of things. It is something that can be weaponized if somebody is trying to or is having rage toward their partner.
Let's go to page 270.
He sounds thrilled to go to page 270. You got to imagine, too, being in the audience, I would be so scared to cough or sneeze during this. If I had a sneeze, oh my gosh, I think I would run out of the courtroom.
Line 3, my question was, are accusations of infidelity considered one of the characteristics of a perpetrator, a personality perpetrator of IPV?
The objection.
The question is vague and ultimately ambiguous.
Elaine is
I don't
stunned.
understand the objection.
I'll overrule the objection.
Okay. And your answer under oath
Can
at
you
that
remind
time?
me of the page? I thought
Page 270, line
This used to be me when I was in like my history class.
3 was where my question was.
Okay.
And your answer is at line 8. You said it can be, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And interrogating your partner about unfounded accusations of infidelity can be abusive. Would you agree?
It can be if they're unfounded, yes.
Okay. And psychological consequences for a victim of IPV can include diminished self-esteem, correct?
Yes.
Depressed mood,
Yes.
anxiety,
Yes.
fearfulness,
Certainly.
diminished self-agency,
Yes.
feeling powerless,
Yes.
Keep it going, Elaine.
loss of sleep.
Yes.
An IPV is a traumatic stressor. Would you agree?
It is.
All right. An IPV is capable of resulting in PTSD, is it not?
It is.
Okay. An IPV is capable of resulting in other trauma-based disorders, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Once again, where are we going with it? We may never find out. We may never know where this is going to end.
Now, Amber's medical examination, she was cooperative, correct?
Her psychological, yes. She was cooperative and polite.
Okay. And in the 2 full days of examination, you felt she was polite and answered all your questions, except in one instance where she furrowed her brow when you were asking about friendships in high school, correct?
That's not correct.
All right, let's go to page 275.
Fact check. This is a major, major detail. We must make sure that we discuss it. That furrowed brow is what's going to save this entire trial.
So we start on 274 with the, was she polite? You said yes. Was she cooperative? Yes. Did she answer your questions? For the most part, yes. This is, now we're on page 275, lines 4 and 5. And then my question was, did she at any time become combative or unfriendly with you or angry? And your answer was, there was one instance in which she appeared annoyed and the posturing forward a bit, more assertive tone, furrowed brow, when I was questioning something, following up on data that had been inconsistent about friendships in high school. Other than that, she was very polite. Is that your answer at that time?
That was my answer at that time, and it's inconsistent with the question you had just asked me.
And would you agree that appearing for this examination with an expert who had been retained by Mr. Depp more than a year earlier might be a little stressful?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, not only had you been retained by Mr. Depp, but what had been communicated by Mr. Depp's team was that you had called Amber Heard a liar.
I like watching Shannon because she starts to kind of smile and laugh a little bit because she knows where Elaine's going to go with it. And she's just like, oh, here we go.
And a perpetrator of abuse, correct?
First of all, I'd like to clarify that I was not retained by Mr. Depp. I was retained by Mr. Depp's counsel.
There you go.
And what I can say that, yes, any examinee in a forensic context, you would consider that they're probably stressed.
All right. Would you agree that all perpetrators of IPV have anger management issues?
Yes.
And a large portion of IPV perpetrators have substance abuse issues?
Not, it's one of many factors that correlates with intimate partner violence, but there are certainly many people who perpetuate intimate partner violence who do not have substance abuse issues.
All right, let's go to 131, line 17.
$131, you said?
Yes, line 12 is what I have here. And I'm talking about, you said, and just to give context, remember I was asking you what percentage of people you treat that are perpetrators, and you'd said 5%. Do you recall that, just for substance?
I see that here.
Okay, and then I said, of the 5% that are IPV perpetrators that you've treated over the last 8 years, how many of these perpetrators have substance abuse issues? And your answer was?
I see that I answered with a figure of speech, a large portion.
Okay, thank you. And it's common for the perpetrator to essentially gaslight the victim, accuse them of being the perpetrator. Would you agree?
Are you in a different area, or are you asking me a separate
I'm
question?
asking you a question.
Oh,
And it's common.
Sorry, can you please repeat it?
Yes, and it's common for the perpetrator to essentially gaslight.
Gaslight. I love the overpronunciation of certain words. The perpetrator to gaslight
The victim, accuse them of being the perpetrator. Would you agree?
Stand up. Objection.
That's exactly how it was asked in the deposition. So I'm
I
trying to be
understand it is a compound question. I'll
Okay.
sustain the objection.
And it's common for the perpetrator to essentially gaslight. I don't think that's, Your Honor, it's just, I think it's just one question. Let me try it. To gaslight
on,
the
Elaine.
victim, isn't it?
That's a characteristic of psychological abuse, yes.
Okay, and it's common then for them to accuse them of being the perpetrator, the victim.
That's a characteristic of abuse from women perpetrated against men. It's actually very, very common. About 90% of male victims of IPV have reported that a female partner who abuses them makes threats to report their partner as an abuser. It's less common for men to make that statement to female partners just because there's less potential consequence.
What are you gonna? You know, this is also what I noticed about Elaine. When Shannon or anybody says something that's like very smart and backed with data and very matter of fact, right onto the like it's almost like Elaine doesn't listen. She doesn't want to hear it, and then boom. Like, you ever talk to somebody and you could tell all they want to do is just reply and say something, like they're not really listening to you. They just want to get their point in. It's like Elaine's just like, I'm going to hit these notes. There will be no follow-ups.
Isn't it true, though, that some form of gaslighting is
Like, okay, I see what you say, and you just gave me the points, but don't you think that...
often present in these personality-based IPV scenarios?
Yes,
Okay. And it's distressing for the victim to be accused, is it not?
absolutely.
It causes them a lot of fear,
That lady's so cold in the
Certainly.
background. I feel bad for her in the back right.
and it causes them a lot of distress.
Absolutely, yes.
Zoom into
And
Johnny.
in fact, they feel falsely accused, correct?
Yes,
And they feel paranoid,
yes,
and they feel frightened,
yes.
afraid that everyone's going to believe the perpetrator, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And in fact, they're afraid they're going to lose their security, correct?
Can you clarify what you mean by security?
I'll ask the next one. And they're afraid they're going to lose their reputation, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the testing for a moment.
I would pay like a good $10 subscription just to be able to listen to the audio of what Johnny is saying to his lawyer in these moments where we can't tell. I would just love it. There's probably some really great conversation.
talk
Also, halfway through this video, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching whatever Elaine thinks she's doing with me. Please thumbs up the video. There's no like goal on this one because we're finishing this video. We don't need a part 3, but hey, like the video if you're feeling generous. And if you have anything to comment, as always, please do. Or you could just comment, I don't recall. We could have 150 comments, just say, I don't recall. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel. We're at almost 5,300. We just hit 5,000. We gained like 300 in like 3 days. So, hey, thank you. Now it's the race to 10K. Who are we racing? Well, ourselves. But it's still a race. We can win it, right? Subscribe. Turn the post notifications on, please. Be a part of that crew that watches right when these videos are posted because it boosts the algorithm. It bumps it up, especially if you watch in full. You know? Appreciate you.
talked about the MMPI-2, but that's not the most recent MMPI, is it?
No, it's the most researched.
Okay. Now, you need to have an elevated, on the MMPI, there was only one section that had elevated scores, correct?
No, that's not correct.
It was the K section, correct?
That's not correct.
MMPI is a Minnesota multifaceted personality inventory, a protected psychological test that assesses personality traits and psychology. It's the most widely used clinical tool in psychology to help diagnose mental health disorders. It has originated in 1942. It is updated in 1989, 2008, and 2020.
Okay. And was there any elevated score over 65 on the MMPI?
I would need to take a look at it. If, you know, I provided a 25-page interpretation outline. If you're able to pull that up, I'd be happy to go over any of the individual scores for you.
Can you recall any clinical scales for the MMPI-2 for Amber Heard that were above 65 as you sit there today?
Again,
She's going. Guess what's going to happen here, Elaine? She's going to say the same thing she just said. Why don't we just pull up the document?
there are multiple scales on this test, 25 pages worth listed. So if you can pull it up, then I can review and give you a confident answer.
What can you recall as you sit there?
I'm hesitant to do that because I don't want to make an error by ignoring hundreds of scale scores.
And
Smart answer.
would you agree that you can't make a pathological determination or diagnosis if the scales are not elevated on the MMPI-2?
I would not agree with that.
Well, why not?
One of the answers that Amber gave is that it's hard for her to feel safe, correct?
What are you talking about, the MMPI too?
Yes.
Again, I don't recall there.
Hey, dude, just pull it up then, Elaine. Pull up the 25-page questionnaire survey, or else you're going to get the same answer. She is telling you, hey, I don't know exactly what was written because there were hundreds and thousands of things written, so let's pull it up so we can see. And then Elaine's like, but do you recall it? No.
567 items on that. I would need to
There
see
you
her
go.
results.
Look at that. Boom. 567. Pulled it out. Let's go. Coming with the facts.
Well, it's a common trauma symptom, isn't it, to not feel safe?
Sure.
And safety concerns are common among women who have been victimized, correct?
Women and men, yes.
There you go.
And
I was going to say,
common-
include that with men.
Especially for sexually victimized people. Would you agree?
Any type of victimization, yes.
Okay. And hard to trust, that's a common after effect of interpersonal violence-related trauma, correct?
Sure.
And memory difficulties. Amber said she felt she had holes. Do you recall that?
I do. And her account was different than typical memory difficulties with trauma.
It is common for individuals who have experienced trauma.
And it's actually
to
not
have-
common. No, it's a symptom, but it's the least common.
Let's go, Shannon.
In fact, a DSM-5
So, once again, Elaine, is it common? She expects Shannon to say yes. So then she could go, right, in fact, but then she goes, no, it's actually not common. In fact,
diagnosis for PTSD includes a, quote, inability to remember an important aspect of the traumatic event, end of quote. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And memory difficulties are a symptom of PTSD, correct?
Certain types of memory difficulties, yes.
Okay. Now, do you recall when Amber says the first incident of abuse took place?
I believe it was, the first incident in which yes. So she stated that it was early on in their relationship.
Okay. Do you recall it
I
involving?
don't recall the exact date off the top of my head.
Do you recall it being a tattoo, something related to a tattoo?
I do.
Okay. Now, if someone had been subjected to a 4-year relationship characterized by repeated IPV, they can have symptoms, correct?
Yes.
Intense anxiety,
Yes, certainly.
depressed or
I thought you were about to say yes, sir.
irritable states?
Actually, it's not so much states. When you're looking at a real trauma reaction, it's pretty persistent. It's less of these transient states.
Intimate problems?
Yes.
Relationship difficulties?
Yes.
And these are symptoms you're also attributing to the personality disorder, correct?
Yes, there are some key differences.
Okay. Now let's talk for a moment specifically about a couple of the profiles on the MMPI. This is not an exaggerated profile for her, is it?
No, actually, that was something unique. When she completed objective broadband measures, where the questions, you don't know what the questions are getting at, they seem completely random, she raised scores that indicated that she was trying to minimize any mental issues and appear completely free of pathology. When she took tests that asked questions that were specific to trauma, that's when you'd see these extreme exaggerations.
All right, let's go to page 337.
Yeah, Elaine, once again, Elaine doesn't care about that answer. Let's move on. More homework. This is your summer reading packet. You're all going to read Hatchet. I remember, I don't know if you know, I'm 34, and like, once I started getting into, you know, like my, what was it, like, sophomore, junior, senior year, and then whatever, Spark Notes was like the big thing. People don't say that anymore, do they? Now it's like Chat GPT and all these things. It used to just be, oh, can you give me the Spark Notes? You know, that Spark Notes would just be like, here is the synopsis or summary of the book. Anybody remember Spark Notes? I'm sure I got a little bit of an older demographic, and I don't mean older in a negative way. Like, I'm older than most people on YouTube. You know, I'm not no teenager, not my 20s, but yeah. Shout out to Spark Notes. It saved me many different times where I would at least have an idea of what I was talking about if a teacher tried to grill me. I don't even know if that still exists anymore. Anybody that likes page-turning ASMR? It's a good moment for you.
My question on line 7, this is not an exaggerated profile, is it, for her? And your answer under oath at that time was, no, it is not an exaggerated profile. Do you see that?
Yes, we're
That's what
talking
you
about the
testified-
MMPI here.
You
Yes.
testified under oath at that time, correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Now, the profile is also not consistent with malingering, correct?
The MMPI-2 profile, it's specific to how she approached this test, and you're correct. For this test, it was a defensive profile, not an exaggerated profile.
So my question on line
Elaine has no idea what that means.
10 was, this is not a profile consistent with malingering, correct? And your answer under oath at that time was correct. On this test, it is not consistent with malingering, period, right?
Yes.
That was your full answer. Okay. Now, is it your testimony under oath today that you have not been asked to testify concerning Ms. Heard's behavior in the context of her relationship with Mr. Depp, including any abuse?
That's correct.
Okay. And you have not made any determinations, including any of opinions that Ms. Heard abused Mr. Depp or Mr. Depp abused Ms. Heard, correct?
Correct. That's outside of the scope of psychology.
Okay. And you cannot testify whether Amber Heard suffered any emotional distress as a result of any of the defamatory comments that she has alleged Mr. Waldman made through Mr. Depp made through Mr. Waldman, correct?
What I can testify is that there was no indication of a decline in psychological functioning showing any injury since she's been with Mr. Depp.
You cannot testify one way or the other on that, correct? Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay.
Elaine, not happy with that. Little water break here. Crowd rustling. Johnny is looking good with that circular tie. I'm going to guess maybe the coffee in there. Maybe some cold coffee. Johnny looks pretty dapper, pretty smug. Shannon looks also very smug, very not concerned. I also believe that, like, anytime Shannon is answering Elaine's questions, she already knows what Elaine is doing and where she's trying to go with every question, and it's not phasing her at all. Like, she's not stressed, sweating, concerned. She doesn't stutter once, but then if you go to Elaine is constantly kind of like stuttering and messing things up. So I don't know.
Dr. Curry,
Yes.
in your report, nowhere in your report.
I love when that happens. Dr. Curry, and anywhere in your report, did anybody say that? It's like Elaine fell down a well.
Provide any opinion of whether Ms. Heard suffered emotional distress as a result of the defamatory statements. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, redirect.
Great job, Elaine. You really solidified the case with this.
Dr. Curry, you were just asked a question about malingering
Yes.
and made reference to the MMPI-2. Is there another test that you did to make a determination with respect to malingering?
I didn't expect this guy to speak. I thought he was just a stand-up chair guy.
Yes. So I also, well, malingering is a term that most psychologists, we try to be careful of it because it indicates an intent for secondary gain. I prefer feigning, which you had brought up earlier, because it indicates that somebody is intentionally exaggerating, but I don't know necessarily why. So I think that's a more accurate term in general. On the MMPI-2, yes, there was no exaggerated profile. I also gave her the CAPS-5. I don't know if you'll remember, but that is the clinician-administered PTSD scale consistent with the DSM-5. And on that, there were signs of gross exaggeration. I also looked at the test results that were provided by Dr. Hughes, and on an objective test of trauma, there is a scale specific to intentional exaggeration on that test, and Ms. Heard was in the 98th percentile, meaning that she is, she had engaged in extreme levels of exaggeration.
So basically, just in layman's terms, was not telling the truth. Was trying to create a false narrative. Right? I mean, I guess that's what that would mean. Anytime they say the word gross, it's not like, ew, gross. It's like, dang, that's a lot.
Thank you. You were asked about intimacy problems related.
So is this guy on Johnny Depp's team, and is his job here to clean up any possible hearsay, or just like let's kind of reconfine and make sure this is what you wanted to say type of a thing? I'm guessing. I talk to you guys like you're live here, but you'll answer the question. That's what I'm guessing.
Relationship difficulties associated with IPV, and you then said there were some key differences.
Yes.
What are those?
So what you see when we're talking about the personality disorders is there is a very consistent pattern of the aggression, the violence, the irritability. First of all, it's escalated. But second of all, it occurs when there is either, for the borderline component, a threat of abandonment, a perceived slight, feeling like the person is about to leave you, about to walk away to get some space from an argument. It also occurs to a more mild extent, but when there's a loss of attention and a need to manipulate to try to get that attention back. But it's not, when somebody has PTSD, that irritability is sort of at a low, constant level, or it's completely random. For instance, you might have a Vietnam vet who went straight to bars for a period to get into fights with the hope that he would kill somebody and just self-destruct.
Wow.
So it's a very different type of presentation. IPV, it might be more irritability, but that's actually...
Man, I'll tell you, talk about somebody that knows what they're talking about. Any question someone throws Shannon's way, she is ready to give you a legitimate psychological, detailed answer with examples. It's very impressive, especially under oath on camera, live, like, hey, God bless, man.
Actually less of a symptom for female IPV victims. Usually what you'll see is somatic symptoms, the depression, a lot of fearfulness and anxiety, but typically more complaints about somatic symptoms.
Okay. You testified that some of the professionals involved in this case had to take their patient at her word. What did you mean by that?
So when you're providing therapy, you're in a very different role than an examiner. When you're the forensic examiner, you're just really looking at data to make a decision. When you're a therapist, you're an advocate for your client's well-being. And in fact, it's considered extremely unethical for a treating provider to ever provide opinion testimony like I'm providing, because it's so well known in our field that you're going to have an automatic bias for your client. It's almost a sense of protection, advocacy, wanting their best, which is why we also know that it's very inappropriate to convey any sort of opinion about whether a crime occurred, whether abuse occurred. We can certainly believe our clients.
Right.
We can support them in their therapy and take them at their word. But when giving opinions and consultations, we have to be very, very cautious and really only provide the facts. We would state things in terms of, my client did report this. I saw this. Here was our treatment plan. Here was the diagnosis. It's, we're.
Is that Dua Lipa in the background right here? Maybe Dua Lipa, a fan of the trial before she got super famous.
Taught, we're trained.
Could have been maybe Dua Depp.
To stay away from making any sort of opinions, understanding that most of the time, and most of Ms. Heard's providers were just treating Ms. Heard. They had never so much as done an initial interview with Mr. Depp and gotten his whole life story or his symptoms or his side of any of it. And they're going to be advocating, and the treatment relationship is about helping your client achieve well-being, not making formal psychological or psychiatric opinions.
So you're asked a question about a series of doctors. Dr. Cohen, treating physician?
Yes, he was a psychologist.
Yeah. Dr. Banks, treating physician?
Dr. Banks, yes, treating psychiatrist.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes, treating psychologist.
Every one of them had to take Amber Heard at his word, right?
You couldn't get it out right.
Treating psychologist.
Every one of them had to take Amber Heard at his word.
Amber Heard. Let's start calling her Amber Heard or Amber Word.
Right?
Yes.
Excuse me. Oh, overruled. I'll allow it.
Elaine tried saying something.
No further questions.
All right. Is this witness subject? Yes, sorry. Is this witness subject to recall?
Oh, yeah, for rebuttal.
All right. Since you're subject to recall, Dr. Curry, please do not discuss your testimony with anybody, and please do not watch anything of this trial, okay? All right,
Got
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
You can stay there for a moment.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our afternoon recess for 15 minutes. Do not do any outside research and don't talk to anybody, okay?
I thought they'd like, do not do any outside recess. Do not play tag. All right. Everybody standing. Their break is coming. It's probably... Johnny looks very strong. I'm just doing a play-by-play of what everyone's holding their hands, folding. Very patient. Judge seems very
Let's go
happy.
ahead and take our recess till 3:20. Your next witness is by deposition, is that correct? We will get you all set up then. All right,
Judge looks very happy to be there.
thank you.
Oh, Elaine's still not happy about something.
Okay. We'll come back at 3:20 before the jury comes back out. We'll discuss your exhibits, okay? All right, thank you.
Elaine's always got something. Hope everyone has to stand up for the judge, right? Wow, look at that. Oh my goodness, they're a warrior on the ground there. Guessing that is that. Oh, we're getting a shot of the time. Really good camera work there. Let's take a look at that again real quick. Boom. Real good camera work. And I guess that's that. All right. Just another edition of Elaine just saying things. And Shannon Curry not being concerned or outsmarted in any way, shape, or form. You could just tell that Dr. Shannon Curry is just much smarter and much more ahead of things than Elaine is. Same thing with Camille. Just always one step ahead. All right, there you go. I could watch 100 hours of that. It's just so oddly relaxing and comical to me. Thumbs up this video if you made it to the end. Subscribe if you made it to the end. Comment if you made it to the end. do a break dance if you made it to the end. And then I got more of these. Don't worry. There's going to be so many Johnny Depp trial videos. Make sure to watch all the other videos on my channel too. not just the Johnny Depp ones. I got a bunch of different playlists. Go check out the channel. Give it a binge. Give everything a watch if you don't mind. I don't want to be typecasted as just like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial guy. You know what I'm saying? But that's it. My birthday is this week. It's on Thursday. I'm going to make a video on Thursday. So it'll be a new series. And yeah, I'm going to continue working hard for you guys, even if it's my birthday. All right, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching Triple R Ryan's Raw Reactions. I will see you very soon. Actually, I'll see you on Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. That's the upload schedule. All right. Peace out.